Alyssa Orange joining us right now. Alyssa, we expect that states that are next to each other, when their big state schools play, then they're rivals, right? That's why the battle line rivalry is supposed to be a thing, Arkansas-Mizzou. Arkansas-Oklahoma. What do you think? Does this have the same kind of potential to actually be something that fans buy into?
I honestly think it could have more success than this Arkansas-Mizzou rivalry that's been, kind of shoved down people's throats. And mainly because it's a brand new one and it kind of starts fresh. You're playing OU every year. It's a fresh new way to kind of get some excitement around the game. Mizzou has always had a bad taste in Hog fans' mouths, only because they took away the LSU game at the end of the year and gave Arkansas this game. And so something got taken from Arkansas, and they're more kind of bitter about, well, you took LSU away from us to give them to Texas A&M, and you just stuck us with Missouri. And so just from a completely brand new, let's get this thing going standpoint, I think that this OU-Arkansas rivalry's got a lot better chance to be successful than this Missouri one.
Yeah, I mean, you expect that you're going to play them each year. I mean, really, you do, don't you? You expect that Arkansas and Oklahoma will play every year. Because I still expect that this is going to eventually be. Now, it might not be at first, but once that playoff expands, you're going to 9 games. You're going to, if you want to call it a pod system or whatever, but you're going to play Oklahoma every year. Is this? This is a good thing because it's a great opponent and it should be exciting and everything. But OU is really historically very good, and maybe that's not a good thing.
Well, I think just from a standpoint of being able to play a team like that. Is huge. I mean, you can go over to Norman and play in their stadium, and OU has so much history. And what if you go over there and you beat them the first time? And now you're saying, all right, we're Arkansas. What now? And Arkansas is on a trajectory in the right direction with Sam Pittman. And so if you're ever going to add someone like OU to the schedule every year, let's do it right now while this team continues to look like they're trending in the right way. I'm all for it.
Oh, I definitely am too, Alyssa, and it's going to be interesting, especially, the first time that they are here officially for SEC Media Days. I was talking to a reporter from Austin who covers the Longhorns. He's down here trying to get a feel of the situation and, kind of compare, not to go have a pun off your name, but apples to oranges of really how different the SEC and Big 12 media days are. And just talking to him, I asked, what are some things people been asking you throughout the day? And he said, well, everybody asked me when I'm going to Big 12 media days. And he just looks at him and goes, well, I did last week. And then that's the big difference, because it truly does mean a heck of a lot more. How ready do you think some of those fan bases are to be in the SEC, to where, and once again, not to be punny, but it just means more.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And I think that the fan bases are excited and they're ready. To an obnoxious degree. I think SEC fans need to buckle up in terms of, if you remember how A&M was when they came to the SEC and Mizzou was when they came to the SEC, they come walking in like, oh, look we're the new kids on the block and watch us. And Missouri won the East 2 years in a row with football, and the East was down. And so they walked in and they were holding their head high. And so don't expect anything different, probably worse with Texas. And then OU, because they're going to walk in like we're the big bad kids of the Big 12, and watch out, we're about to take over. I feel like from a fan standpoint, it's going to get annoying pretty quickly. From a team standpoint, I think it's just going to be fun to add Texas and OU into the mix. For Arkansas specifically, don't really care about all the other teams. But if you're Arkansas specifically, you add those old Southwest Conference rivals, you get Texas and OU every year. It kind of just is. It's exciting to think. I would much rather play Texas and OU every year than having to play a Vandy or an SEC team that just doesn't bring that kind of excitement to the table.
Mm-hmm. All right, Alyssa, I feel like tomorrow it's going to be a busy day, especially with Arkansas and Sam Pittman and obviously the players here in Atlanta at the College Football Hall of Fame for SEC Media Day. So tomorrow when I finally can put my hand down and I get the mic and I stand up and say, Coach, Drew Barrett, ESPN Arkansas, this question's from Alyssa Orange, Pig Trail Nation. What do you want me to say? What question do you want me to get out there for you? Because I'm here to report for you.
That's a tough question, man. Put me on the spot. Man, that's a good question. I had to think about this because sometimes you want to be fun, but at the same time you want to get some content out of it. I would really want to ask Mike Irwin brought this up yesterday in his Ask Mike segment, but just the continuation of the run game and what that's going to look like. Because you've got such a talented backfield, how do you continue to expand that when you've got a guy like Kendall Browse as your offensive coordinator? But that's a question that we're going to have answers to. Man, Drew, you put me on the spot. I felt like that was a terrible answer. But maybe,
let me throw something into that then, Alyssa. Here.
With you. Yeah.
Well, you bring in the idea of the quarterback here, and the running game is a strength. I asked this yesterday. If there's one thing that you might like to see, at least statistically, from KJ Jefferson, I'd like to see fewer carries per game, like take fewer hits. I know some of it has to, you got to get away from the rush, but he averaged 11 attempts per game. Would you like to see him carry it fewer times, as good as he is running the ball?
Yeah, just because I want him to have a little bit more balance, and he did towards the end of the year, and we know that that's one of his strengths, but I want to see a lot more from KJ in the pass game for sure. So let's show off the KJ Jefferson's arm, and the running will come when it needs to, but I want to see KJ throw the rock around.
Yeah, I want to see him throw the rock too, and theoretically, the more he's able to stay in the pocket and trust this wide receiver group and his tight ends, and I think you got a couple of the guys that can catch it out of the backfield. Like, I know you got to have design runs for him. I know that you don't want to change one of the things that makes KJ Jefferson. Tell Tim Tebow he is one of the top 5 quarterbacks in the SEC. Yeah. But, keeping him. But the other thing I get nervous about sometimes is that, and you saw it a couple times last year, but maybe a few more times when he was younger, he would try to initiate contact. Like, no, we don't need that. We need you to be healthy, man, because without KJ, I know Malik might be exciting to watch, but without KJ, it's like that's your guy.
Yeah. It is. I think he's going to have more protection in the pocket. He's going to have a lot more options to throw to when you look at the wide receiver group. And then we all know that Rocket Sanders can catch the ball. He was recruited as a wide receiver and then moved to running back. So you have so many weapons. Let KJ orchestrate that and have some fun back there and not feel like he automatically has to take off and run and bulldoze somebody over. Because it's fun, but it's not going to be very fun when he's got his arm in a sling.
So, what do you think you hear from Sam Pittman tomorrow? Is he going to say anything that's noteworthy? Or is he going to be asked about the jukebox and what's playing on the jukebox? I mean, Coach Pittman's not the kind of guy that would ever say anything, I think, that belongs on a bulletin board or talk smack about another coach or anything like that. Nor will he be boring either. There's a difference between being coach speak boring and somebody that just has a sense of how to make it through something like this.
Yeah, we're not going to get any, borderline erotic comments, and he's not going to be, a stale bred, boring. He's charismatic. He's fun, but yet down to earth, but not going to give away too much. He's not over the top. It's what you love about Sam Pittman. Might get asked about the lake house, Lake Hamilton, and the Razorback statue. Might get some fun comments on the fun Razorback statue he's got out there that he put out there earlier in the year. That might be the most exciting thing we might get from Sam Pittman. But that's okay. I mean, he's just focused on continuing to promote Arkansas football and the brand, and He doesn't have to be flashy to show what he's been doing on the field. So that's just who Sam is, and I don't expect it to be any different.
Mm-hmm. Now, on the defensive side of the ball, Alyssa, especially with them bringing two defensive guys in Catalan and Bumper Pool, and both have shown that they are special talents. But I feel like coming into this season, both of them, in a little bit different way, but kind of the same, have something to kind of prove and show scouts at the next level that, not only can they play on Sundays, but they can stay in the league. Just between those two, which one do you think kind of has more to prove coming into this season?
Ooh, Bumper Pool, I think. And that's because you come back for your super senior year here. And last year, a lot of the spotlight warranted was around Grant Morgan, and just Grant Morgan continuing to be this great story of this guy who's just stepped onto the field and flourished into this really good football player, regardless of being a walk-on, and was out there making plays. And Bumper has always had the ability, but you had Grant Morgan and Bumper Pool with Hayden Henry, and they were rotating in and out, and Bumper wasn't always on the field. And so this is his year to say, hey, remember me? I'm Bumper Pool. I was this highly recruited kid out of Texas coming in as a freshman. I stepped in and I played when Dre Greenlaw got hurt. Remember me? I'm about to show you what I'm about. And so that's where I think Bumper Pool has an opportunity to remind people the talent of football and the level that he can play at. Everyone knows that Jalen Catalan is talented. Everyone knows that Jalen Catalan is going to play on Sundays. He's just coming back from an injury, and he's just saying, hey, I'm back. The injury didn't do anything to me. I'm still the Jalen Catalan you remember from my freshman and redshirt freshman year. So, excuse me, the answer, I think, is for sure Bumper Pool.
Somebody needs to tell Tim Tebow that KJ Jefferson probably belongs in the top 5 quarterbacks in the SEC. He's going off of potential in a lot of cases.
That KJ Jefferson, it was like the top 7 QBs in the SEC. And KJ was like 5, 7, and not on someone's list, and 6 on someone's list, or 4th on someone's list. But it was like I get that there's talented guys, and everyone knows, okay, Bryce Young's the number 1, but when did we forget that KJ Jefferson led the SEC in most statistics a year ago? Did we just up and forget that? I'm so confused. I don't get it. Truly. And I'm not trying to be biased because I cover the Razorbacks. I truly don't understand. Did we just up and forget what happened a year ago?
I don't think there's any. I think you're exactly right. I mean, you just look at touchdown to interception, completion percentage, all these things. I mean, even running the ball, he was. And I get it. Look, Will Levis is a better professional prospect. So is Anthony Richardson, Spencer Rattler.
But
I mean, he's going to end up being the biggest hype train without. Right, exactly.
Yeah.
It's all potential.
What did he do for Oklahoma's over there? He didn't do anything for us.
It's strictly projection, and projection based upon talent, and not about what did you do last year more than anything else. All right, I think we'll leave it there.
Yeah, I was going to say on that note, so I just don't think that that's fair to say that KJ Jefferson doesn't have talent like these other guys do. If that's the marker all these other guys are going off of, well, that's not very fair.
That's a good point.
I'm gonna leave it on that.
That's a good point.
Partners at BetOnline continue to be the #1 source for all your betting needs and sports info. Find all the latest odds, news, and sports developments, including this year's Wimbledon Finals, Major League Baseball, the latest fighting news, and even next season's early NFL futures. Head to the website or use your mobile device to sign up today to receive your 50% welcome bonus on your first deposit. Just use our promo code BLEAV. That's BLEAV to get the bonus and get into the action. Bet online, where the game starts.